Good morning, good afternoon, or good night from whenever and wherever you are watching us. I am Cameron Scandal. That is Steven Treffler. We are the sound. Morty is already up here making me angry right at the start of the show. Messing with my light. Come here. Explain to the people why you're bothering us. That's what I thought. So happy you're joining us today. No, nothing. He had no valid excuse. But we're glad you're here with us today. We got a pretty good show for you. We're back with some NBA stuff, talking about some NFL stuff, giving you a whole lot of sports information. NBA starting up next week. It is about time. About basketball.
My life is finally in a period of just constant happiness in sports right now because I have basketball starting, hockey's going on, Caps won the other night, let's go Caps, and football, college basketball is about to start.
Playoff baseball.
Life could be worse.
Yeah, life could be a whole lot worse. So yeah, we are ready to get going for you. But before we get started, first thing on the agenda, we got some things to mention. Our first thing to mention is kind of a sad, actually not kind of, it is a sad one. Anthony Richardson confirming today that he will have season-ending surgery. He only played maybe full 2 games. He played fully this season. He was really coming around for the Colts too. Yeah. Had performed better than we had anticipated. So it's a shame for Anthony Richardson and the Colts that this has to happen.
Yeah, Anthony Richardson is somebody that I told you to watch out for at the beginning of the season. Yeah, I said that he was going to be very good, and he started off great. What I'm really hoping we're not going to see right now is an RG3 comparison.
Yeah,
because he is very reckless with his body, the way he runs. He runs and doesn't slide. He is a mobile quarterback, but he was smart. He was making the right throw. Just sad. The Colts handed him the keys to that franchise. I hope this surgery helps and he heals up, but definitely a bummer.
And the other thing I mentioned that I want to mention, which I thought of as we were doing things to mention, we've said it before, but just want to re-update everyone. Steve and I will be at the Eagles-Dolphins game on Sunday. Prime time, Kelly Green jerseys. We're tailgating. We got box seats up top. It's going to be a day. I'm excited, Steve.
Oh, dude, listen. That game is going to be wild. Both our teams are heading 5-1 into this game. 2 top 5 teams in the NFL squaring off. 8:20 in the link. My first NFL game ever.
Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting about that. Yeah, dude. Great starting game. So, yeah.
I was going to say, there are a few games that I can think of that would be better games to attend than this one on Sunday.
So, with that, this has been Things to Mention. And now we're going to get into our actual starting segment, which is a few days ago. Was it last week? A few days ago? It was pretty recently. Mm-hmm. The ESPN had posted their top 100 players going into this season for the NBA. They described it a fancy way of saying this is where people rank right now as we stand heading into the 24 season. So Steve and I went through, found a couple things that we agreed with or didn't agree with that we wanted to talk about and share our thoughts. Our first one we both agreed on, Tyler Hero, far too low on this list, 79 out of 100. We got Scoot Henderson. Well, not we. And the ESPN's got Scoot Henderson at 78.
That's bad.
Hasn't even played an NBA game yet. Tyler Hero's a 6th man of the year and averaged 20 points in the playoffs.
And
I don't understand.
And he was literally just being used as like a centerpiece of a major trade. Him being at 79 is laughable on this list.
I'm just honestly more upset that Scoot is above him when we've seen, why would I think that Scoot Henderson's better than Tyler Hero when I already know what Tyler, not to say Scoot's going to be bad, but
right.
I don't know, man. It just don't make any sense. Hero is egregiously too low. And Steve, one that you really have an issue with, Zion Williamson being at 57.
I understand that Zion is having issues staying on the court. Everybody in the NBA world can see that.
Yeah.
But the sample size we have of Zion, the potential for how good he is on the court, 57. I cannot name you 56 players. Having names like DeAndre Ayton and Jared Allen above Zion Williamson,
Draymond Green.
Draymond, those names upset me because he's not. No.
And I do get it because a large piece of this is like, what are we gonna get? Is he gonna play?
Yeah.
Like, what do we? It's hard to like even like saying like Ja is 35 or something like that. I think like where are we getting that from? Because a healthy Ja Morant at one point in time was a top 10 player in the NBA, top 10. A healthy Zion Williamson at the most we've seen is a top 11, 12 in the NBA. Definitive top 15. So it seems crazy that he's 57. Seems almost unfair to the people above him that we have seen and have shown that they can be in these positions. So we're just saying Zion should be there because he's Zion, and that's a little bit unfair.
It's just weird seeing guys like Kyrie ahead of Zion when I can say the same thing about Kyrie because he has issues staying on the court the last few years.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We have no direct evidence that Kyrie attributes to winning. But moving on, actually, before we move on to what I want to really talk about, two things. One, Wembanyama at 47. What are we doing? What are we doing? hasn't played. LaMelo Ball was at 48, and Wemby's at 47. What are we doing? Who said that they're allowed to do this? Listen, I get it. Wembanyama in the preseason has looked really good. It's bananas. You know who else looked good in the preseason? Sam Bradford. I remember when the Eagles got Sam Bradford that first season. He had a preseason game where he went like 7 for 7 through for like 105 yards. People are like, yo, look at this guy out there slinging. And then he became one of the 3 worst Eagles quarterbacks ever. Steve sent me a video last night of Wembanyama squatting to the ground and was like, yo, this dude's about to be an all-star. But something I do really want to talk about that I think is ridiculous on this list is Chris Middleton at 46. I'm a big Chris Middleton believer. Chris Middleton is the most not superstar, the most mid. I think he's a star. Chris Middleton can win you games. Chris Middleton can be there when it's the big moments. The thumb thing's popping back up. In the big moments, he's a good scorer. He is a excellent number 2 option. Julius Randle is at 45. So in last season in those games, Chris Middleton averaged 24, 5, and 6 in the playoffs. Okay, in the playoffs. Here's what Julius Randle averaged in the playoffs: 25, 10, and 4. Or I'm sorry, 16, 8, and 4.
I was gonna say 25, 10.
Yeah,
4,
no, those are his regular season numbers.
Okay.
So because to point out, so Chris Middleton went from averaging 15 to 25 in the playoffs, and Randle went from averaging 25 in the regular season to 16 in the postseason.
Yep.
That stuff to me matters. Right above him, Steve, which I want to hear your thoughts on quickly. Tyrese Maxey at 42.
Yeah, I saw James Harden was at 43.
CJ McCollum's at 44. Like, ew.
Tyrese listen, dude, I'm a big Tyrese Maxey believer because he's like, I'm a Sixer, but he's not top 40. He's not top 50. I mean, he's like, he should be 57 where Zion is. If you told me Tyrese Maxey was 57, I wouldn't be upset with you.
All right, so next up, I want to talk about Paolo Banchero quickly, the current rookie of the year. I almost said former current rookie of the year. Averaged 27 and 4 this past season. Jaren Jackson Jr., who is 31, is leaps and bounds ahead of him as a defender and averaged 19, 7, and 1.
He was
pretty close-looking numbers. And Jalen Brunson, who you could argue might be the best player on the Knicks if you don't like Julius Randle. He really might be. In the playoffs, Jalen Brunson's putting up 28, 5, and 6.
Oh, yeah.
And yet I got to believe Paolo Banchero is better than both of them.
We have no playoff evidence of Paolo Banchero. We have regular season evidence. He won Rookie of the Year. Good for you, bud. I don't think he's got superstar ceiling.
Karl-Anthony Towns, number 20.
No.
I don't think Karl-Anthony Towns is the top 20 player in the NBA. Tyrese Halliburton, all-star last year, signed that monster contract, is ranked 21st. 21, 4, and 10 for him. And again, an all-star. Towns was not. And Sabonis, who I just said was 22, was on that number. The Kings were the Kings the number 1 seed in the West? Is that how? No. Yeah, I don't remember. They were a pretty high seed.
They were 3 seed,
something like that. Regardless, being
Yeah.
a top 3 seed in the West, and then he averaged 16, 11, and 5, but in the playoffs, somewhere Towns was not.
Wasn't
So
Sabonis in the top 10 MVP category for a large portion of the season too?
maybe that kind of sounds right. I mean, still, Carlton Towns is not a top 20 player in the league.
Pretty sure Sabonis was also an All NBA teamer. Pretty sure.
Who he
Sabonis.
might have been. He might have been a third team. That's a great point.
Pretty sure
Yeah,
he was the third.
that's
team.
Proof. So what has Towns shown us of why he deserves to be up there? Like I don't get it. Like he doesn't do anything. And I found this out. A little side note. On Basketball Reference, it says one of his nicknames is Special K.
Who?
Have you Towns? Have
No,
you ever heard anybody call him that ever?
There has not been a soul. Sabonis was the third team All NBA center this last year.
Yeah. So no reason Towns should be above any of those people.
No.
One more thing I want to talk about, Steve, before I turn it over to you is there is a Robin section of this list. 19 through 16 are all people who are the second best player on their teams. Now, in descending order, it goes Jaylen Brown, Paul George, Jamal Murray, and Bam Adebayo. They are all the clear-cut number 2
Isn't
guys
Kawhi
on
Leonard
their team.
Below Paul George?
He is, but does anyone? To me, Paul George has more of a Robin role and archetype. Paul George as a Robin is more effective than Kawhi Leonard as a Robin, and I think we all still consider the Clippers to be Kawhi's team.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying I don't know why Kawhi is ranked lower than him.
Yeah, I think it's kind of like a Zion, like if he's healthy, what are we going to see weird? But anyway, Jaylen Brown, 23, 6, and 3 in the postseason. Now, while Bam averaged 22 and 12 in the finals, that is excellent. Good for him. But I think we'd all agree that Jaylen Brown is a better athlete. Maybe not a better defender, but Jaylen Brown is a very adept defender. Brown is better offensively. Yeah. Brown is better with the ball. I mean, but now, like I said, we had an argument that Bam was maybe the third best player in the finals because Jimmy didn't show up.
Yeah.
These guys can be flipped around and put any way you like. Every one of these guys could have an argument for being at that top spot. So I just found that section of, like I said, number 2 guys, very interesting, very comparable.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that Jaylen Brown, he was a name I almost wrote down. I thought he was a little low on the list personally, but I don't know who I would move. I would have to do more research to see who I would move him ahead of.
Yeah, I mean, and these are the best Robins in the NBA.
Yeah.
I mean,
Dame,
so I was gonna say, I was thinking like you could say like Dame and Giannis, LeBron and AD, Durant, Booker, like they're not Robins per se. You know what I mean? Like these are clear number 2 guys. Like you wouldn't want these guys to be the best player on your team. Yeah.
The last 2 guys that I wanted to like mention that I saw on this list, Dame's too low. I'm sorry. I don't think that they have him at 13.
14.
No, 11.
14.
Oh, they have him at 14. That's right. So they have Dame at 14. They have Anthony Edwards over Damian Lillard.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't agree with that.
Dame averaged 32, 5, and 7 in the regular season, didn't make the playoffs. Anthony Edwards averaged 32, 5, and 5 in the playoffs. The same stat line. Yeah. And Dame has proven more in the postseason. I think Dame is a better leader. Yeah. I think Dame is the more malleable star.
Yeah.
The only thing, they're both not great defenders. I mean, Dame's, I think if you have him lower than 12, it seems wrong.
Yes, agreed. No, I mean, if you were going into the playoffs with a team, would you rather have Anthony Edwards or Damian Lillard?
Yeah, so pretty much.
I mean, that to me. And then the last one I wanted to talk about was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander being number 8. I think that to me is the most egregious ranking on this list. You're talking about a team and a guy who, same thing with what we literally just said about Anthony Edwards. What makes him better than Anthony Davis? What makes him better than Devin Booker? I just can't. I don't have an argument for him over those guys. I have an argument for those guys over him.
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact of his value on the Thunder, and like he's playing as well as he is in a franchising system that poorly is in itself very impressive, and it's easy. It's probably harder to do 35 or 32, 5-6 in the Thunder than it is in the Warriors. Like, you know what I'm saying?
100%.
So, but I don't think that should overshadow what other players can do in their own right on their own teams in that situation. Like you said about Zayn, there are a lot of people on this list I'd rather have as my best player going into the playoffs than Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, like I said, Shai's a nice player, good for him. Not the 8th best player in the sport. He's just not.
Exactly. Overall, I think this list wasn't like awful, but it definitely, whoever's making it sleeps with their dad.
Yeah, well, 100 or 150 panelists and experts. My question is, where was our invite?
Yeah,
this list in itself is invalid because they didn't include everybody. We weren't a part of it, so therefore this list is just kind of null and void. This segment is pretty much useless, but we hope you enjoyed it and listen to our thoughts on it. And let us know what you think. Let us know if you think what we're saying is right or wrong. Or you got players that you're like, why do you think that? And you guys are dumb, and we'll tell you you're dumb, and we'll get in a conversation. But yeah,
exactly.
Top 100 players in the NBA. Hope you guys enjoyed. Moving on to our second segment, it is time for everyone's new favorite game show, Who Is That? Who Is That is a game where Steve and I give each other clues to try and guess the former or current NFL or NBA player. The less guesses you take, the better your score. I, at this point in time, do not remember what the score is. It will be on the screen right now. But I know it's not close. I know Steve's got some catching up to do. But he told me he's got a good one today. It is his turn to give the clues. We'll see if he can stump me. Steve, are you ready to play? Who is?
All right.
Clue
number 1.
Yes.
I am a 5-time All-Star, 5-time All-NBA, 5-time All-Defensive Team. I have 2 Defensive Player of the Years. I have 1 top 5 MVP finish. And out of my 5 All-NBA teams, 1 of them was a first team. In the playoffs, I averaged 16, 5, and 3. Clue number 1.
A lot of information on the first clue. I'm so glad I didn't guess someone randomly because it would not have been a good guess. All right, 2 Defensive Player of the Years. Had 5 years of being good. What do you average in the playoffs?
16, 5, and 3.
Okay, so this guy had to be a role. This guy had to be like a second option or something. He couldn't have been. He's not throwing up a lot of points. He only had a 5-time All-Star appearance. 16, 4 and 5?
16, 5, and 3.
16, 5, and 3. Okay, so this guy wasn't a ball. This guy couldn't have been a point guard or a playmaker. He had to be an off guard. Who? I'm trying to think who would have been a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year. Who would have been a guard? 1 top 5 MVP finish too. So like this person could not have been good for long. And I'm guessing the 1 top 5 finish is gonna be like 4 or 5. I don't imagine it's top 3. I want to guess, but I don't want to guess.
Do it.
No, because I don't have a good enough guess. I don't have a good enough guess. 5-time 2. I don't know. Gary Payton. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
The bad guess.
Clue number 2. He's the first guard ever to be back-to-back the first and only guard ever to be back-to-back Defensive Player of the Years.
That should give it away. I should just know that off of that fact. That should just be a thing I know. Who would have been okay, let's go back in time. Gobert, Giannis.
I will give you a quote from the famous Nicholas Wright as part of the second clue.
Okay.
This person is the second most egregious omission from the top 75. The NBA 75 list that they made, Nick Wright on camera said, this person is the second most egregious omission from the top 75.
Oh, Sidney Moncrief.
Yep.
Yeah. That, if you wouldn't have said the Nick Wright thing, I don't know how many, because I know he's a big Sidney Moncrief guy.
So the next clue was he played for the Bucks and the Hawks.
Oh, by then I would have got it.
The third clue was he's a top 3 all-time player for one of the teams he played for. He appeared in 3 Eastern Conference Finals with the team, the second longest tenure in team history. And MJ went on to quote, "When you play against blank, you're in for a night of all-around basketball. He'll hound you everywhere you go, both ends of the court. You just expect it." Sidney Moncrief.
Yeah. The casual NBA fan has never even heard of him until now. If you guys don't know who Sidney Moncrief is, you need to look up his number. Sidney Moncrief is a ridiculous defender.
Sidney Moncrief in the Eastern Conference Finals lost to Dr. J's Sixers, Larry Bird's Celtics, and the Bad Boy Pistons.
Yeah.
Nick Wright went on to say it wasn't a fair fight. What did you expect him to do?
That's a great player. It's just a bummer. It only took me 2 guesses. I
should have known better than to mention Nick Wright's name.
It really gave it away, because I know he's a Sidney Moncrief fanboy, and I'm like, yeah, no, that was it. Yeah. Again, don't know the score off the top of my head. It should be on the screen right here, right now. Listen, man, I'm gonna stumble one day. You're gonna get me with a really good one, and I'm gonna just roll in the point. You're gonna roll in the points.
Stump the sound.
Another installment of Who Is That? Hope you all enjoyed, and until next time. Our third and final topic of the day, something we kind of already talked about, but we're coming back to. Brock Purdy and the 49ers lost in a very disgusting way to the Browns. Missed a field goal. Not a great Brock Purdy game. And it has re-sparked the conversation of, well, we've seen Brock Purdy down in the second half. He's had to play with some adversity against a good defense. No McCaffrey, no Deebo Samuel. What's he going to look like? And there's been mixed reactions amongst the media and fans of how we're viewing him now. So, Steve, I'd like you to go first and share your thoughts on Brock Purdy's caliber of quarterback play and what you think of him.
When you lose your 2 biggest weapons on offense and you look the way that he looked, that's obviously a concern. Where do you go when you need to get the ball out of your hand to somebody? Now, I know I've been hyping Brock Purdy up all year. I've been a guy that believes in Brock Purdy. And this game is not the nail in the coffin, but it definitely gives me reason to concern. It gives me reason to wonder why, did he struggle that much without the Niners' real MVP and Christian McCaffrey and their second best player in Deebo Samuel out of the game? But the question that this poses to me, and I was listening to Nick Wright talk on First Things First the other day, and he proposed a good point. He said, this game, to anyone who has been hyping up Brock Purdy and saying that he's a top 10 quarterback and saying all of these crazy things about him, this game is going to be a shock. But to the people who have been quiet on Brock Purdy and hush on Brock Purdy and who've always known that he wasn't as good as everyone was saying he was, this isn't a surprise. This is Brock Purdy. This is who everyone thought he was going to be that had intelligence. Well, I still think that there's a lot to be concerned of from this game. I watched Brock Purdy come out, and now granted, let's pump the brakes for a second, because the Browns defense is one of the best defenses since the Purple People Eaters. It's one of the best defenses since the Legion of Boom. It's one of the best defenses in the last 50 years. They've let up 1 touchdown on their drives this season. What this shows me is that, okay, without those 2 guys, you are average. But I have to remember he's young. So there's a lot of swirling thoughts going through my head about this game. And I know we had talked about this the other night, and I'm interested to see, after a day or 2 of sleeping on this and thinking about it, where do you stand as far as the concern barometer for Brock Purdy? Where are you like, man, this is code red, we need to be looking at Brock Purdy? Or are you like, what, this is like everyone needs to chill the hell out. We're like, this is one bad game in an awful rainy wet evening against the best defense in the NFL?
We have been talking about we need Brock Purdy to play better in a larger sample size to solidify him as being good, right? So doesn't it make sense?
But we also said that we need to see him in adversity. We did say that.
So with all of those things, doesn't it make sense then that we need to see him be bad in those situations in a larger sample size to then say he's not what we thought?
Yeah.
So one bad game against one good. Now, I'm not going to make excuses like, oh, the defense is really good. He can't, like, it was rain. That's football. That happens. And this hurts him, but doesn't at the same time. And saying that he was playing bad when McCaffrey was still out there. So it's not like he was doing good and then McCaffrey went away and it's like, man, now he sucks. I did something today at work that I didn't tell you about, and that is I have concocted a blind reveal.
Okay.
And we're going to take a look at that right now. All right, so here we go. We got 4 quarterbacks, all numbers from this season. You don't even have to really give me a detailed answer. But just looking at these, which player do you think has played the best thus far this season?
B. And I know that's Brock Purdy. He only has 1 interception on the season. I know who it is. I know who most of these players are, to be honest.
Okay, no, all right, let's make it. Who do you think they are?
I mean, I think so. D. One of them is Geno Smith, and I think it's D.
Okay.
I want to say that C is Kirk Cousins, and I want to say that A is CJ Stroud.
Okay. So in this analysis, we're comparing Brock Purdy to CJ Stroud, Kirk Cousins, and Geno Smith.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's reveal who we think they are.
Interesting.
All right. So these are who the actual quarterbacks are.
Bad this season.
These are 3 of our top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah. All quarterbacks who we've said have been having a down year. So not surprised by these numbers.
Would you say, so let me ask you this then. If I wasn't showing you numbers, if I said to you just Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, they're not top 5 quarterbacks?
Oh no, they are.
Well, yeah, there are 8 quarterbacks in the NFL that I can definitively, without thinking about it, are better than Brock Purdy. There are only 8, okay? Now, this is in no order either. Mahomes, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, Lamar. I'm sorry, there's 9. I just thought of one, forgot, and didn't include him. Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow. Or is that 8? No, it's not 9.
That's 8.
Mahomes,
Where's
Allen,
Tua?
Hurts.
Where's Tua?
Goff, Herbert, Lamar. Well, how do I keep getting different numbers? Can I count? Mahomes, Allen, Hurts, Goff, Herbert, Lamar, and Lawrence. 7.
You're smoking dope.
Count. Yeah, I can't count. 7.
You're smoking dope.
Can't count.
I'm going to have to politely disagree.
Oh, Tua? Because of Tua. So here we go. So I did some research on Tua, and there's 2 reasons why I'm not going to say I know definitively without question Tua is better. 1, I'm still not fully bought in. I am not 100% in that he can stay on the field, which I think is fair. And 2,
all right, Nick.
Tua's numbers, I think, are a smidge inflated of his play because he has the best receiver in the league and is number 1. Tua's number 1 in the league in yards after catch with almost 5.5.
So we're going to penalize him for getting his ball in its space to his wide receivers?
But but yards after catches, once the guy has the ball, he gets 5 more yards just from running. That has nothing to do with Tua.
But
it's got nothing to do with Tua. When the receiver does extra things after the quarterback throws the ball and he catches it, okay? The quarterback's job is over at that point. The receiver then has all the ability to go as far as he wants. I'm not saying that it's all the receiver. Like, I'm not saying all the yards the receiver gets is just on him. Obviously, where you catch the ball in stride, how the passes is all affecting. I'm just the point I'm trying to make is, if you have, based on how many throws Tua has made or how many completions he has this season, times by the extra yardage based on this, he's getting an extra 700 yards on his passing yards. And there are other quarterbacks who are doing that too, but he's number one at it. And I'm just saying that because of Tyreek Hill and because of that statistic, his stats may be a smidge inflated. I'm not saying that he's not a top 10 quarterback. I'm not saying that he's not good. I'm still not bought in on the health, which I have been saying since the preseason, on the offseason.
Well, it's week 7 now. We've made it past week 5.
Sure. And that's fine. And I just think
him get tackled hard.
And I just think that extra stat, like, Brock Purdy hasn't proven anything crazy that I'd be like, yeah, Brock Purdy's nowhere near the level of Tua. And Tua hasn't proven me anything that I'm like, wow, Tua's so far and away a better quarterback than him. Like, I just, like I said, if I can't say a 1,000% definitively without question, he is better. I think there can be an argument that is made, and that I'm not trying to say Tua is not good or anything like that. I'm just saying in this argument, and we clearly disagree on that, and that's okay.
Tua is I would understand if he's just throwing the ball up, his receivers are making the catch, and they're running down the field like Randy Moss used to do. But Tua is making the right throws at the right time to multiple different guys, not just Tyreek Hill. It just happens that Tyreek Hill's the fastest, most elusive receiver in the NFL. But for everything that that Tua has, the Niners have more of.
Yeah.
But Brock Purdy, where would you say he's ranked right now? Like, if you had to give me a barometer of quarterback rankings, because we've always said it's hard to rank him. But now we're at a point in the season where I feel like we've seen, we're 6 games in, whatever, going into week 7. You've seen last season. You've seen technically almost a full season of Brock Purdy games-wise. So, like, where would you rank him right now if you were, like, doing a Mahomes mountain?
I'd say top 12.
Top 12?
Top 13. I mean, I can't name that many.
12.
Yeah,
I was going to say 12.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of other people that I didn't mention. Of like,
is he better than Geno Smith? If he is, then he's 12 to me.
I think it's debatable.
Is he better than Baker Mayfield? Is he better than guys like Derek Carr?
Yes.
Okay, then he's 12 to me. I think Brock's 12. I think Tua is either 11 or 10. Personally, I would have Tua at 10, but that's just me. I would have Tua, Matt Stafford, Brock. But no, I loved your Brock Purdy take. So you're not concerned, is what you're saying. You are not.
No, this game, like I said, this game really meant nothing to me. I didn't learn really anything. I think bad games happen. I'm not gonna just like people won't let one really good game say Brock Purdy's elite. I'm not gonna let one bad game say Brock Purdy's garbage.
And that's fair. That's called being objective and fair. And that's what we bring to you here at the Sound.
Yeah, that's our whole point. Yeah. So Brock Purdy, is he top 10? Is he top 15? Is he garbage? You tell us. Maybe we're a little special. Who knows? We're Special K.
I'm special.
Karl-Anthony Towns.
My mom tells me I'm special.
Yeah. And that is going to do it for us today. A great show, a long show. I'm looking at the clock running up here. We're at 56.
Almost. A lot of that is going to get cut.
A lot of it's garbage. Yeah, a lot of it's whatever. But we thank you so much for joining us today. We will be back after the game on Sunday. Still going to hopefully be coming to you every week. Wish both our teams luck. This could go either way. We are both going to need it. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you learned something. And always remember, if you are ever in need of intelligent and cogent sports analysis, just listen to the Sound. We will always have you covered. Thank you so much for watching it and listening to us today, folks. Hope you have a good rest of your day or night. Stay safe. Take care.
I'm not a crook.
Listen to the sound. I listen to the sound.